All right, strap in, everybody. We're going deep on Grant Cardone today. We're breaking down his interview with Lewis Howes. And man, this guy's got some wild ideas about money. Like, did you know he once got a $10,000 advance with no money in his pocket?
Yeah, that's Cardone for you. He's not just talking, he actually does this stuff. He even proved it on that Undercover Billionaire show on the Discovery Channel, right? Went from nothing to a whole company in 90 days.
90 days. That's insane. And he comes out swinging right away saying rich people don't value money like poor people do.
I gotta admit, that one made me think.
He's good at that, getting you to think differently. His point is, rich people see every dollar as working for them, constantly making more. They don't let those dead Benjamins just sit around. Cardone believes even a bad investment, it's still better than spending because it might grow.
So it's not about saving up, it's about using money to build something bigger.
You got it. He's all about assets and equity, building something that lasts. Like on Undercover Billionaire, in just 10 days, he gets 2 cars, an RV, and a $10,000 partnership, all without spending his own money. Wait, how is that even possible?
He went to this mattress store owner, not asking for cash, but offering to bring in tons of customers.
So he's like adding value instead of begging for money.
Exactly. It was risky, but it worked big time. The owner had record sales that weekend, and Cardone got 15% ownership in the company.
Talk about playing the long game. It's like those guys, Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, they're not just getting paid, they're owning things, building empires.
You see, Cardone, those $100 bills, they're the past. The future is all about owning a piece of something.
So how does he even find these opportunities? On the show, he ends up in Pueblo, Colorado, tough town. I'd be freaking out, but he seems totally calm.
That's the thing. He sees what others miss. Pueblo's struggling, right? So instead of starting something new, he looks for businesses already doing okay, but could do better.
So he's like improving what's already there instead of starting from scratch.
Bingo. He says America's got too many businesses already. Use what we have.
Smart when you think about it. But he's not just picking any business, right? Got to be picky.
Oh, absolutely. He looks for people with money, credit, and credibility. That's his thing. He can walk into a room and just know if it's worth his time or a dead end.
No time for messing around. He's laser focused. But even Cardone, he must get rejected sometimes, right? Starting from nothing on that show, people got to say no.
Sure, he's heard no a million times. It's part of the game, especially as a salesman. He even tells this story. He's in Pueblo, and this businessman is bragging about raising $30 million. Kind of looking down on Cardone, you know?
What's so funny about that?
Well, at that moment, Cardone has millions in his account, just wrote a check for $45 million.
No way. So he just, smiled and nodded while this guy bragged?
Pretty much. Stayed humble, didn't underestimate anyone.
That's class, man. But where does that confidence come from?
He calls it commitment to the outcome. It's not arrogance, it's belief.
So he's not just taking risks blindly. He's got this deep belief driving him.
Exactly. It's calculated moves, strategy, and knowing how to adapt when things go wrong.
Okay, let's talk sales tactics. He uses this phrase, information-assisted selling. It sounds different from that pushy salesman stuff.
Oh yeah, Cardone, he's all about honesty, put everything out in the open, no tricks, none of that pressure you get from some salespeople trying to make you buy what you don't need.
So how does that actually work, like step by step?
5 steps, he says. First, say what you want right up front. Then you present the offer, see if they're even interested. Next, explain everything clearly, no hiding details. And finally, go for the close and always follow up afterwards.
So it's like building trust, making sure everyone's on the same page from the start. No pressure, just clear communication.
You got it. Give value first, don't trick anyone into buying.
And that works for him, even with those huge real estate deals he does. Millions of dollars, big personalities. How does he handle that pressure?
Experience and knowing how people work. He says most deals fail not because of money, but ego.
So it's not just about the best price, it's about making everyone feel good about the deal.
Exactly. People want to feel like they won, even if they paid a bit more.
I see how this connects to his whole philosophy. It's not about winning at all costs. It's about everyone winning together.
He's great at understanding what motivates people, you know. He'll ask, why would you choose me as the buyer? Digs deeper than just the money.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. He's got this whole thing about resentment. It says if you resent a customer, it means you rely on them too much. What's that about?
Imagine you've got this one client, they're your bread and butter, but they're a nightmare. Demanding, complaining, you start resenting them because you're stuck.
You depend on them so much you got to put up with their crap.
And that's bad, creates negativity. He says you got to diversify. This applies to everything, not just business.
So like if I'm always complaining about Facebook, it's because I'm on it too much.
You got it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, he says. Diversify your income, your social media, even your relationship.
Create a safety net so you're not stuck depending on one thing or person. Makes sense. Now the big question, does money actually make you happy? Cardone seems to have a different take on this.
He doesn't believe that money equals happiness. Fairy tale, not one bit. Money doesn't magically solve all your problems or make you happy.
But I bet he doesn't think money is evil either.
No, he knows it gives you freedom and security, which can help you feel better. But for him, real happiness, it comes from other things.
Like what? Spill the beans?
He talks about the joy of reaching your goals, seeing people around you succeed, his kids growing up, and always challenging himself to be better. Personal growth, that's what matters.
So it's not the money, it's what you do with it, the impact you make.
Right on. He even gives away millions to charity, and while he didn't feel happy exactly, he felt a deep satisfaction, a purpose. Money can't buy that.
So he's finding fulfillment in giving back, making a difference. But he also seems driven by this need to always learn and grow.
Oh, absolutely. Always looking for the next challenge, pushing himself. He encourages everyone over 40 to see age as a good thing, not a limit.
What, like you're just getting started after 40?
Exactly. Your 40s, 50s, those can be your best years if you keep growing. He even calls himself a rough diamond, always being polished. Still a work in progress, he says.
That's humble, coming from a guy who's achieved so much. It's that growth mindset, always learning and improving no matter what.
He proves you don't have to be perfect to do great things.
You just need that hunger to learn, that drive, and believing in yourself.
Now let's talk about the 2008 recession. Cardone's pretty open about the tough times he went through.
Even someone like him got hit by the recession.
Yeah, he learned some hard lessons. Admits he wasn't as prepared as he should have been, didn't have enough assets, business was too small, relied on too few sources of income.
So when the economy tanked, those weaknesses got exposed.
Exactly. He owns it completely, says the tide goes out, you don't have a boat, shame on you.
Powerful stuff. Sounds like that was a wake-up call.
It was. Made him rethink his whole approach to building wealth, making it more stable.
That's where his 10X idea came from, right?
Yeah.
Go bigger, bolder.
You got it. Being small made him vulnerable. He went all in on diversifying, building a stronger business.
And that's where his ideas about debt come in.
Mm-hmm.
Good debt versus bad debt.
Right.
Seems kind of opposite to what we're usually told about money.
Oh, yeah. He challenges the norm. Bad debt, that's the obvious stuff. Credit cards, loans, high interest rates, all that's just draining you, keeping you stuck.
That's the debt that keeps you up at night, for sure.
Exactly. But then there's good debt, which Cardone says can actually make you wealthier.
Hold on, how can debt be good? Isn't it always bad?
Not always. Cardone says if you use debt to buy things that go UP in value or make you money, then it's working for you, not against you. Like, lots of big companies use debt to grow.
So it's about using debt strategically to create more wealth.
Right. He even says, pay attention to those tax write-offs. It'll guide you to smart debt choices.
Now that's an interesting way to think about it. Never heard that before.
He makes you rethink a lot of assumptions, that's for sure. It's like, imagine you're a self-made millionaire, but you got to start over with just $100. And in 90 days, you got to build $1 million business. That's what Cardone did on Undercover Billionaire. It's a masterclass in hustle.
Just thinking about starting over with nothing gives me anxiety. Especially pretending to be someone else. That's got to be tough.
Oh, yeah. He had to create this whole new identity. Louis Curtis, he called himself. Struggling entrepreneur from LA. That was his cover.
So no connections, no reputation, no using his own money. Brutal.
Cut off completely. Just his talent, his ability to read people and spot those hidden opportunities.
And he was living in an RV, dealing with altitude sickness on top of it all.
He had to be resourceful, man. Couldn't tell anyone who he really was. That adds a whole other layer. Imagine millions in the bank, but acting broke.
I'd crack under that pressure for sure. Shows how committed he was, pushing himself to the limit.
Exactly. This wasn't just for TV. He wanted to prove his ideas work no matter where you start. And guess what? He did it.
He actually built $1 million business in 90 days.
He did. And learned a ton about himself along the way. Strengths, weaknesses, what he needed to work on, forced him to face his limits, get creative, and adapt when things went wrong.
True testament to hard work and perseverance.
Right.
Proves it's not about luck, it's about having the right mindset, that drive to make things happen.
Now, I think we should look at some of his strategies from the show. There's real wisdom there, stuff we can all use.
Okay, let's break it down. Where do we even start?
Let's start with how he finds and evaluates opportunities. Remember, Pueblo was struggling economically.
Yeah, he mentioned that, but wouldn't that make things harder?
You'd think so, right? But instead of trying to do something totally new, he focused on existing businesses, ones that were making money, but could be doing even better. Optimize what's already there. That's his thinking.
So he's looking for those hidden gems, businesses with potential that others might miss.
Precisely. Leverage what's already working. Build on a solid foundation, he always says. America doesn't need a new business, he says. So many are struggling. They need help.
It's about finding those opportunities that others overlook, seeing the potential.
And once he finds one, he's very deliberate about how he approaches it. He talks about networking with the right people, those with money, credit, and credibility.
So he's not wasting time on people who can't help. He goes straight to the decision makers, those with resources.
He knows relationships are key to success, and he's not afraid to walk away if it's not a good fit. If the other side's not all in, he's out.
Knows his worth, doesn't settle for less. That's a good lesson.
And then there's speed, momentum. On the show, he had a deadline, 90 days. No time for overthinking. Gotta keep moving.
Makes sense. Gotta be decisive, keep things going.
Action, learning from mistakes, adjusting as you go. He even says, perfection is the enemy of progress.
Love that. Don't wait for perfect, just start moving. Learn as you go.
Those mistakes, they're valuable. They teach you, help you make better choices next time. Cardone embraces that.
So encouraging for anyone feeling stuck, you don't have to have it all figured out to start. Just take that first step, keep going, and learn along the way. Now, there's something else, a big thing actually. Cardone was open about how his drive, especially on the show, impacted his marriage. That honesty is refreshing.
It's a reality check. Even those who seem to have it all struggle with work-life balance. Especially when you're that ambitious, it's a constant juggling act.
He admits his focus on work caused tension with his wife, Elena. It's good to hear someone successful talk about these real-life challenges.
And he says, it's not the money itself that's the problem in relationships. It's more about how couples make decisions, their priorities.
So if you disagree on values, on how much risk it to take, on spending money, that's where the trouble starts.
Right. It's about navigating those differences, communicating, making decisions together, even when you disagree.
He also talks about loneliness that comes with making tough choices, especially in business. Like, even with support, sometimes you got to make the call alone.
He tells this story early in the pandemic. He shut down a whole department at his company. Everyone, even his wife, said it was a bad idea, but he felt it was the right move for the business long term.
Wow, going against everyone you trust, that's got to be tough.
And you know what? Looking back, he says it was a mistake.
He admits he was wrong.
Yep. But here's the thing. He says he'd make the same choice again.
Really? Wouldn't change a thing?
Nope. He saw it as protecting his company during a crazy time. And even though it was wrong, he learned from it, his team learned from it. It's about resilience, adaptability.
So it's about trusting your gut, even when everyone disagrees, and learning from those tough calls, even the ones that go wrong.
It shows he can make those hard decisions, own up when he messes up, and adjust course, always learning.
You know, that self-belief, it reminds me of how hard Cardone works. Like, it's almost obsessive. He says he replaced a drug addiction with a work addiction. Always meetings, studying, building his business.
That's the energy that got him where he is, that drive. Might not be for everyone, but you gotta respect his dedication.
He believes anything's possible if you work hard, push yourself, and never quit. Just listening to him talk about his projects, it's contagious, inspiring.
And he doesn't just talk about money, he emphasizes personal growth too, becoming a better person.
So it's about being better in all aspects of life, not just business.
Exactly. Better communicator, collaborator, husband, everything. Always seeking feedback, working on weaknesses.
He even talks about being inspired by Clubhouse, the way people talk there, so open-minded.
Wants to be more like that himself. Refreshing for someone so successful to be open about flaws, wanting to grow.
Reminds us success isn't a finish line, it's a journey, always evolving.
And it's a journey anyone can take, doesn't matter where you start. Cardone's proof of that.
But got to be willing to jump into the unknown, get uncomfortable, and believe in yourself.
Now, let's circle back to something Cardone talks about a lot, seeking equity instead of dead Benjamins. Owning assets, building a portfolio, that's how you create real wealth, not just chasing quick cash.
Yeah, he hammers that home. True wealth isn't about what's in your bank account today. It's about what you control, what keeps making you money long term. Playing the long game,
Exactly. And he shows this on Undercover Billionaire, right? Instead of getting a job or begging for money, he partners up, gets ownership in businesses with potential,
Like the mattress store deal, 15% ownership just for bringing in customers.
creating value without spending his own money up front. That's leverage. Win-win for everyone.
We can all learn from this, whether we're entrepreneurs or just trying to be smarter with money.
It's a mindset shift from quick wins to sustainable growth.
Building a solid foundation for the future. And speaking of which, his experience in 2008, that recession.
Yeah.
Interesting, even with his knowledge, he still faced financial challenges.
He learned from it, though. Admits he wasn't ready. Not enough assets. Too reliant on a few things. When the economy crashed, those weaknesses showed.
He takes responsibility, says he could have been more strategic.
We can all be blindsided, no matter how successful we seem.
That experience changed him, pushed him to diversify, build a more resilient financial plan.
Exactly. Having multiple income streams, that's crucial for weathering the storms.
And that ties into his views on debt, right? The good debt versus bad debt thing. Seems kind of counterintuitive. We're always told to avoid debt.
He challenges that thinking. Bad debt is clear. Consumer debt, credit cards, high interest, that's a trap.
The kind that stresses you out, no doubt.
Right, but good debt, Cardone says, can actually build wealth.
Wait, how's that possible? Debt is supposed to be bad.
Not always. If you use it to buy things that gain value or make you more money, it's working for you. Like those big companies, they use debt to grow all the time.
So it's about being strategic with debt, using it to create more wealth.
Exactly. He even says those tax write-offs, they can guide you to make smart debt choices.
That's a whole new way to look at it, gotta admit.
He's full of those mind-bending ideas.
Makes you think twice before freaking out about debt, right? But Cardone's not saying go crazy with loans. It's about using them specifically for things that will pay off.
Right, strategy is key. You know, he actually had like $50 million in debt when the 2008 crash happened. And then get this, he increased it to over $1 billion in the years after.
Whoa, hold up. That's a big jump. Not exactly your average financial advice.
No kidding. But that's Cardone, right? Confident in using debt to buy more assets, make more money. It's like stepping on the gas, but you got to know what you're doing.
Okay, I think I get it. But you know, with Cardone, it's all hustle all the time, building his empire. Gotta wonder, where does happiness fit in? Does he even have time to enjoy it all?
Good question. You'd think someone like him, happiness equals money, right? But Cardone, he straight up says, that's not true for him.
So what does make him happy? What's the secret?
He talks about feeling good when he reaches a goal, overcomes a challenge, contributes to something bigger. Personal growth, always getting better, that's what does it for him.
He mentioned giving millions to charity, right? Did that make him happy?
He says it wasn't exactly happiness, but like deep satisfaction, purpose. Knowing he made a difference, money can't buy that feeling.
So it's not the money, it's what you do with it, the impact, who you become along the way.
It makes you think, right? And his goals, man, always pushing the limits. He wants to double his, get this, $2.3 billion portfolio in a year.
Wait, seriously? That's insane. How's that even possible?
Sounds impossible, but for him, it's the challenge, figuring it out. That's what excites him. Always pushing boundaries. What can he achieve? That's his thing.
That relentless drive, never satisfied, that's got to be exhausting.
But also inspiring. And it's not just about money. He wants to improve himself, too. Be a better communicator, work better with people, better relationships, everything.
So reaching for that next level in all parts of his life, not just business.
You got it. He knows his intense work ethic. It's taken a toll on his personal life, his marriage. Trying to find that balance, ambition, and family is something we all struggle with.
It's true. Success isn't just money and status. It's having a life that feels good, balanced.
And Cardone, what makes him relatable, even though he's so successful, is that he's honest. Admits he makes mistakes, talks about his struggles, says he's still learning.
Takes the pressure off, right? Like even those at the top, they're human too, still figuring things out.
Absolutely. Always getting feedback, looking for ways to be better, embraces the journey.
That's inspiring, for sure. So wrapping up this deep dive on Grant Cardone, I keep thinking about something he said, really stuck with me. He asks, where we're holding on to those dead Benjamins in our own lives. Instead of seeking equity, true ownership, building something that lasts.
Powerful question, right? Makes you look at your own relationship with money, with success. Are we playing it safe or are we pushing for growth, leverage, real impact?
It's a wake-up call. True wealth, it's not just the number in your bank account.
Yeah.
It's building a life you're proud of that makes a difference.
That's the lesson from Cardone. It's not just the money, it's personal growth, resilience, believing in yourself.
It's about the journey, the ups and downs, always getting better. Who knows, maybe with a little bit of Cardone's hustle and a lot of heart, we can all do amazing things.
Keep learning, keep pushing, and always be seeking that equity. That's the Cardone way.